Welcome back to Access and Arc, a podcast by the Middle East and Africa Institute for Strategic Studies. In today's episode, we're joined by a very special guest, the founder and president of the MEA Institute for Strategic Studies. As the Institute marks its 1 year since founding, this conversation is going to reflect on the journey so far, where it all began, how it has evolved, and the vision guiding it forward. We'll explore the origins of the MEA Institute, the motivation behind launching it, and why an institution like this is so important in today's geopolitical landscape, particularly in the Middle East and Africa. The discussion will also dive into the role of youth voices in shaping policy, research, and dialogue across the region. It's a pleasure to welcome Abdel-Illah today. Maybe to begin, could you just briefly introduce yourself and share a little bit about the MEA Institute?
I'm Boukhezer Abdel-Illah. I'm the founder and president of the MEA Institute for Strategic Studies. We are the first youth-led think tank in Africa and the Middle East, and so far we are a year in the making. Quite proud of what has been achieved, and our holy grail as an organization is to make a difference, not only for young people, but then for Africa and the Middle East, and to make research more accessible, more open, and to drive policy forward in very niche, very specific thematics.
Let's go back to the very beginning. What was the journey like from initial concept to full implementation? How did you take the vision you had and move from imagination into reality?
Well, definitely came through a very unexpected meeting in Paris, France. And I was at La Sorbonne making my first steps there. And a month after, I went kind of randomly into a student speaking society event. And there I met Ryan, which would then be our executive VP at MEA. And we had a quick discussion. We've talked about different things. After a month, we kind of really got started. I shared my vision to him, and he said, yes, let's go.
As part of its founding, you hosted a pretty major event, a launch conference at La Sorbonne. Could you walk us through the work that went in behind the scenes? Is there anything that, stands out to you during that period? And how did that first step really help you shape the MEA Institute community that has been built today?
So when we were planning the launch conference, we didn't have actually the booking confirmed for the venue past the month. So basically, we've put a request in December 2024. And usually it takes 6 months to book a Richelieu, that particular venue where we did the conference. And Ryan was in charge of the logistics. And at what point we went to see the manager responsible for the bookings. And we explained to him at the time and say, this is what we're going to do, this is our vision. He took a moment and he said, who are you guys? And he said, we are the MEA Institute for Strategic Studies, and you'll find out soon. So it went on. We were a little bit debative at the time, and so I told Ryan, I said, look, you're going to change the approach. Every time you go see him, just get to know him, just try to, and especially trying to see what he likes. He went on, came back, and we had a discussion and said, okay, what does he like? Our guy loves éclair au chocolat. I said, okay. So every week we'll try to bring him at least an éclair au chocolat. First time, came back, no update. Second time, no update. Third time, 48 hours, we got the booking confirmation and we were set up for La Sorbonne. And that was kind of the start. And then I personally had a month to organize everything. So basically, the speakers, the thematic for the conference, the reports behind it. So our first report was on air mobility in Africa, a very critical subject. But then I think looking back, it was there was a lot of sleepless nights, challenging moments, but also lots of fun, enjoying, and didn't see the time coming and passing. And on the day, there was, of course, some challenges in the between, but I think importantly, we got together and we built a space where everybody from all industries, from all fields, got together to discuss and hear firsthand some of Africa's most important priorities. And so concluded 25 foreign delegation, 300 high-level attendees, and the official birth of the MEA Institute for Strategic Studies. So that was quite a time, and started with a humble team of 6 to now a community of 80 plus people across the world. And so we have the brightest minds on the planet, people from the Americas, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and even Asia, working for the strategic interests of the MEA region, and quite proud of the work that has been achieved, but also grateful for the efforts that the team have concluded throughout the year. So I think there's definitely different perspective that came to mind, but an MEA came to exist for different reasons. I think understanding that the world have changed deeply. Young people are more prepared than ever before. And you can see this through their experience, their will, their hard work, but also their awareness in world issues. And MEA answer to 21st century realities, driving progress, driving young people, an initiative backed for them, by them. And at the end of the day, the essence of what we do is to make a difference in Africa and the Middle East and drive the industry forward.
Diving into one of the core pillars of the MEA Institute, youth leadership, this is central to the Institute's identity. Could you expand on why youth voices matter so deeply in today's context? Why prioritize a youth-led model, and how does that influence the Institute's mission and approach?
I think a simple number will summarize it quite well. 70%. 70% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa is under 30. In the MEA region combined, 65% of the population is under 30. That's a game changer and a comparative advantage for the region. And I believe that if the right synergies are found, and I think in a short amount of time, something big can be done. And I think projecting ourselves in the next couple of years, we see MEA at a different scale and having different sorts of impact, regionally first, but also internationally, with notably in the introduction of a new framework in international relations, the first one that connects Africa and the Middle East as one block. So there was quite also an innovation in the research field and the think tank industry. But youth has been central. And again, it just answers the new 21st century realities where the voices that are less represented, less present in the policy world, really can make a life-changing impact, an impact that would last generations. And therefore, I think the smartest investment that we could make at the moment is invest in young people, invest in their skills, invest in their talents, and believing in them, believing that indeed that they can make a difference in this world.
Within its first year, the Institute received over 800 applications from young people around the world who wanted to be involved with the MEA Institute. What did that response signal to you about the demand for this kind of platform? What was it like to see just that high level of engagement so early on?
I think we actually received more than 800 applications. We received over 1,000 applications, which I think it showcased a certain appetite towards the work that we're doing, a big interest into Africa and the Middle East, and how these two regions are understood and studied. But then I think it was something I wasn't surprised, because we knew that there was a gap in the market. And again, we're the first youth-led think tank in Africa and the Middle East. I think this was kind of expected, but still very reviving to see, because seeing the energy, the engagement, and hearing the different stories of each interview that we did, each application that we've looked at, and hearing firsthand their priorities was something that I personally learned a lot from, but also that made us understand, especially if I look back to last year, everything was possible. We just need to believe in it. And if MEA started with one thing, it was one simple belief that everything was indeed possible. If we worked hard, if we had faith, and if we stayed grounded towards the regional realities and worked collaboratively with all parties, with all stakeholders, to try to make a difference. And I know sometimes it may seem and may look complex, because there is no such thing as Africa, and there is no such thing as the Middle East. There are different variations of cultures, religion, ethnicities, state, nation states. But then I believe the two regions have been intertwined and linked for centuries, for millennia. I think we can trace that from biblical times. And therefore, if we compare them and try to link them, both regions have a shared history, shared culture, shared values. But I think most importantly, a shared interest, and seeing the strength of these two geopolitical blocks and seeing their importance in the world, not only in the 21st century, because I think something that is critical, and I believe that we, Africa and the Middle East, have lost the 21st century. What we should be building and looking at eagerly is the 22nd century. We have 74 years to go, and every bit of time, every bit of energy needs to be channeled.
Now, you just referenced the transition from the 21st to 22nd century and a really powerful framework for thinking about institutional change. In that respect, the MEA Institute has positioned itself as moving away from a business-first logic towards a more impact-driven mission. Could you elaborate on this model? Why adopt this type of approach? How does it shape the research, projects, and analysis that you produce at the MEA Institute?
The core being of MEA is to make a difference, to make an impact in Africa and the Middle East, generally. And when we met together with Ryan and started discussing and underlying priorities, we've looked at all possibilities. And of course, I think different ideas came up, different structures came up. But at the end of the day, if we were to do something, we do it for impact and not for profit. And that was the core difference between us and so many people in the industry. We want to change how Africa and the Middle East are perceived and introduce new ideas, bold ones, that not only will influence policies, but then would shape the future of 1.8 billion people across the region. So I believe that, of course, what we've built and the right questions is thinking about the architecture, the capital, the research, the talent, something that we've done in about no time. In less than 6 months, we've been able to create that MEA architecture, the ecosystem that would enable us to channel our efforts and policy work through the right people, but also the right structures. And so it's understanding also that we're working on different fields. So mainly the political field, the economic field, the media sphere, and the knowledge creation sphere. And MEA is at the middle of it. And of course, it is challenging to time, but I think it's something relevant to underline that we want to change and drive the industry forward. And that's what's important for us.
In this respect, do you see the MEA Institute as a response to gaps in existing institutions or something entirely new in structure?
On our side, we're not revisionist, we're reformist. We believe that we can complement and enhance different mechanisms that are present and in place and strengthen the foundation from within. And again, the mechanism will stay the same, or at least some sort of it, but then the foundation will be strengthened, enhanced. And of course, there's a sense of awareness by all parties, but revolutionizing the way we think about strategy is one of our top priorities. The way we think about the region, the way we approach research in specific areas. I guess when we provide research intelligence to specific stakeholders, we say, give it a shot and compare it to what you have. And that's the difference. We go and challenge. We break from silos. And that's the MEA approach, the MEA way.
In just 1 year, the Institute has achieved some pretty remarkable milestones, from high-level international conferences at La Sorbonne and Cambridge to global dialogues at the UN. It really has built a community that goes beyond research and borders to produce impact. Looking back at all of these achievements, what stands out most to you and what brings the greatest sense of pride?
I mean, definitely the team, the efforts, the energy that was channeled into our research capabilities, and more especially our initiative. Putting young people forward, investing in them, investing in their skills, giving them and providing them with opportunities, but at the same time delivering to Africa and the Middle East, the very regions that we believe in. So on my side, I'll definitely say the team, but then of course our achievements, the learnings that have come from the journey, the up and downs, but also I think some very interesting exchangings and dialogue, because somehow when you put diverse voices and the most talented people from across the world, and you put everything into the mix, you get perspective. And again, this is our added value. Our diversity is our strength. It gave us perspective to our research. It creates new research pipelines. And it generates ideas that would last for decades.
A final reflective question, but if you were to give yourself one piece of advice to the version of yourself at the very beginning of this journey, back in those early days at La Sorbonne, when you were meeting Ryan, what would it be?
That's actually a good question. And I would say, keep your faith up north. Do the same thing as you did. And believe in yourself, invest in your team, and keep going, wherever the cost. Because since day one, I knew that we were going to make it happen. It was going to succeed. And for me, it was never a question of if, it was a question of when. And of course, you do have that instinct that tells you that this is the right thing to do. Not only because it works on a theoretical basis, but there is an entire ecosystem that is forged and that we've created that made that work. And therefore, I think just having faith in the journey, and a hardcore belief that if we work hard, we achieve it. It takes a simple belief, but we need to believe firmly in it to achieve it.
Thank you for listening to Access and Arc, a production of the Middle East and Africa Institute for Strategic Studies. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow, rate, and share the podcast. Subscribe to Strategic Insights for in-depth analysis delivered directly to your inbox. All relevant links and details can be found in the show notes below. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.